Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day, everyone. My name is Carl Young, Registered Migration Agent. Today, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you the most important step into migration of Australia, which is the skill assessment process. Now, skill assessment process is actually a mandatory requirement. So whatever your background is and where you're coming from, skill assessment is very, very vital, because a lot of people had overlooked and had eventually not even looking into the process of skill assessment. So you might be in an occupation that is capable to actually migrate to Australia, but without skill assessment, you cannot even enter into the actual system. So for instance, if we're looking into the independent skill visas or employment sponsor visas, any other visas that require skill sets, it's all require to have the skill assessed. So the skill assessment authority, what does it do? It actually assess your qualification and background and work experiences to actually see whether or not it has met and meet the Australian standard for that particular occupation. For instance, there's ICT, there are accountants, there are also engineers and all the other ones. It may not have the same standards as where you are actually working at or where the country that you're coming from. So getting assessed is very vital. Even for the international student who actually graduate in Australia, your skills are also required to be assessed, especially at on the work experiences part. So today I would like to take a little bit of intro of all type of different skill assessments through all type of different assessing authority, and how do you find it, where can you access these informations. I would like to share that with you. Okay, so the first thing first, let's go into the immigration website as we have commonly do. Now, if you don't know where to find this website, comment below, inquire below, I can send you the link direct. Okay, so why are we here now? This website, I can say it's actually done very good for this version of the Australian immigrations websites, where it tells you all type of different skill require visas here. And then now if you scroll down, there's actually search function here, so you can actually put any type of occupation that you're in, or you wish to be in, or you intended to be in that skill set, and then they will tell you what sort of visa can be done and what is the skill assessing authority that you are required to gain your assessment done. So let's take a possibly what do I do? Let's put medical. Okay, and then I punch enter. Then as you can see, it comes down that it shows all the occupation that's linked to medical, and you can see that the assessing authority can be different. So for instance, biomedical engineer, you have to go through Engineer Australia. At the right column, you have to go through Engineer Australia. So you can see the right column here. Let me go down here. Okay, you can see that assessing authority. It actually shows you what authority that you're required to go through. Okay, and if we punch in accountant, it will show you different. Now there are 3 different assessing authority for accountants. Okay, so basically that's how easy that you can actually identify which authority you should go for. Now I will take further to actually introduce you different type of assessing authority and what their requirements in generic term is needed. So if we go to say, if we go to if we go to CPA, how do we go there? Okay, let's punch it. Let's go there. That's for accountants, and generally here it will tells you, if you go here, you can see migration assessments, and it will says they can assess either Australia or New Zealand. Okay, and then if we pick Australia, it should tell you the occupations that they're eligible to actually assess under, and they will also tell you which degree or what possible courses, accredited courses that you can actually enroll in to actually gain this skill if you want to study in Australia. Now, bear in mind, accredited courses meant that assessing authority has accredited them. So if you study them, it will be much easier and more direct for assessing authority to actually assess you. Now, that doesn't mean if you study in any other universities and it's not accredited, you cannot become a CPA or accountant, assessed as accountant under the standards. They will still assess you, and they will take further to see what are the subjects that you have done and those detailed subjects. Because if you study accounting in UK, for instance, some of the law may not be the same, and they will assess it differently. Now, as you can see, for accountant, there is a mandatory English proficiency requirement here. Now, they can take all these type of English tests. So you can either go for CAE, Cambridge, or an IELTS or a PTE. As you can see, for IELTS, you are required to have a general skill assessment of 7.0. Now, I believe that's academic. You cannot take IELTS general. Now, I don't know why they put general skill assessment. I think it's more better if they put full skill assessment requirement, not a general skill assessment. Now, provisional means that if you only just graduated and you're required to get a graduate temporary working visa, then you only need to meet the provisional skill assessment. That's a 6 there. Now, my suggestion and recommendation for all of you who want to migrate to Australia is at least your IELTS has to go at least to 7. Okay, so that is the trend, and I believe that if one could actually achieve IELTS of 8, which is a superior level of English, your ratio to migrate to Australia will be much higher. So, and that is the trend. That's all I can say. Okay, anything else? I think IELTS is the most important part. Now, moving onwards, let's go to Trade Recognition Australia. Now, this is for all the trades like cook, chef, cabinet makers, mechanics. Now, how do you use this website? Now, you basically go into Pathfinder. Now, there are 3 parts. One is the for migration purpose, and the other is for point advice, and the third one is I don't know why you will have a third one, improve my employability. Well, maybe some people do. Let's just go in the first one. Then you have 3 of them to actually choose from. Now, the first one's 485. Again, what is 485? That's for temporary graduate visa. That's for people who have studied as an international student in Australia and required to actually graduate and required to get a temporary work visa after graduation. Then you click on this one. That generally takes you to a job ready program, and you have to go through 4 different steps. Now, if you are already a very experienced tradesman in whatever the trade skill set that you're in, you possibly you will need to pick either the second one or the third one. And the second one is for employment sponsor visa purpose, and the third one is for general like independent skill migration purpose. Then it will go further and tells you where to go. So that's basically what Trade Recognition Australia will be. Now, moving onwards, we have Vet Assess. Now, Vet Assess generally assess all the generic management role and some of the professional roles. So apart from anything else from engineers, IT, accountant, and what else? The nursing and the medical parts, most of other general occupation will fall into Vet Assess. Now, I can tell you the only requirement to pass and gain a full skill assessment report from Vet Assess will be that you have the right qualifications, and then after you graduated, you have 1 year, 12 months at least of full-time work experiences. Then you will have a positive skill assessment done under Vet Assess. Just giving you, for example, hotel manager, cafe manager, marketing specialist, sales manager will fall into Vet Assess. Okay, now moving onwards, this is a bit complicated, where we go into the engineering skills. You have to go through Engineer Australia. Now they are different. There are so many different ways. Now let me take a bit by bit. So once you landed in this page, you will go to choose assessment pathway. Now as you can see, there are so many different ones. Okay, now under the international core, there are 3 core for international engineering standards. So they are Washington, Sydney, and Dublin. Okay, now so if we look at the first part, if you study a qualification which is under an engineering qualification in Australia, it has to be a bachelor and has to be a 4-year bachelor degree in Australia, then you will be qualified straight away. Go to yes, and you will be accredited and done. That's pretty easy. Okay, now some people do come here and study Master of Engineering, Management, or whatever. Okay, if your bachelor is not done here, you only do a bachelor for 1.5 or 2 years, you will not be eligible to go through this one. Okay, so just that's a very important part here. Now, other than that, if you cannot meet this one, then you have to see whether your bachelor degree was under each of these 3 core: Washington, Sydney, or Dublin core. Okay, it doesn't mean if you cannot meet that, you cannot be assessed. Okay, I'll tell you with the last resort. Now, if your previous study, whatever the university it is in, you need to check your faculties and particular countries, their accreditations under these international standard and signatories. If they're in, then you have a yes here, and then go down as well. So obviously you are required to provide all the transcripts, graduation certificate, and so on. If you're all not in here, then you have to go through the last bit here, which is, you can see it's the competent demonstration report, CDR pathway. Now what does that mean? That basically requires the applicant to submit 3 CDR, which is like assessments, case studies from your previous study or from your actual work experiences, obviously in English, and these report has to be in possibly to be written in about 2 to 5 pages to demonstrate your knowledge and experiences in a particular field of the engineers. And then you submit it into Engineer Australia, then they will come back with feedback, either positive, granted, or you get an assessment report, or negative. Okay, so that's how Engineer Australia will work. Moving onwards, ACS, Australian Computer Society, that's for all the ICT skills. So the software engineer, the database managers, networking, all the ICT, all the IT required skill set will actually go to ACS. Now ACS, I can tell you to gain a full assessment done, obviously it requires either you have a 1 full year work experience, just like the VSS, but with a closely related occupation. So you cannot graduate as a software engineer and you become a multimedia designer. That won't work. Okay, it has to be closely related. Okay, or if you are an international student graduate in Australia, you can actually join for what they call professional year program, which is a 1-year program that allows the international graduate to actually have more internship, and once you completed that program, you will get a full skill assessment. Now bear in mind, this professional year program could be used for IT, accounting, and engineer only. Any other professions or any other occupation do not offer professional program. Okay, so that's ACS. Now the last one I would like to talk about obviously is the nursing. Nursing is going through Australian Nursing Midwifery Accreditation Council. Now if you do want to become a registered nurse, if you go into either of this, you're required to get a registration first, which is go through APRA. Okay, after you get that APRA registration, then you come back to AMAC, Australian Nursing Midwifery Accreditation Council, then you'll be able to get that assessment done. And you can see here there are numbers of different ones. They are pretty explanatory. Modify means that you have already studied here and you're required to get a assessment done, a full skill assessment, meaning that your study was not done in Australia or in New Zealand, then a further a more complicated assessment process is required. Okay, now that's basically what all the skill assessing authority it has covered. There are some few like the psychologists and all the other different ones. Obviously, what you need to do is go through the first web page that is showing you in the immigration website, type in whatever the occupation that you wanted to search for, and at the very right column it will be showing you the actual assessing authority, and you can go in there to actually find out what the requires are. And obviously, should you have further query or questions, feel free to comment below. I will more than happy to reply within 24 hours. And if you do like our channel, make sure you put a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel, and I shall see you in my next video. Thank you. Goodbye.